Finans Merkezi'ne hoş geldiniz. Az önce Avrupa Merkez Bankası Başkanı Draghi'nin sözlerini dinledik. Piyasa hafif bir çalkalandı ama şimdilik önemli de bir fiyatlama varmış gibi görünmüyor. Biz biraz daha farklı konulardan söz edeceğiz. Bugün burada Albaraka'nın dünya CEO'su var. Adnan Ahmed Yousif bizlerle beraber. So you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
So we had an interview with you last year.
That's
I think
right,
it was.
yes.
So you're welcome again on the show.
Thank you very much.
So a couple of questions for you.
Good.
To start with, I think Gulf countries and their economies is very much correlated to oil prices, which just collapsed and then came to a new level at 50s on
Yes.
Brent. So maybe you can say something about the oil prices and the Gulf countries' economies. Where are they heading to?
Okay, thank you very much for giving me the chance to be here again, and I'm very pleased. And Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The oil price, I wrote an article in Al-Hayah magazine, which is one of the famous newspaper in the Arab countries. This was about a year ago, or more than a year, and I was anticipating that the oil price will go above the 50, close to the 60. At that time, the price was 40 and below the 40. And I think that, my anticipation and my study was correct. And I think that the oil will continue now to go up. We have to understand that the growth in oil, or the demand in the oil, is coming from the east, not from the west. And therefore that with China's economy, India economy, and the rest of the Asian economy is growing, I think that this will give us the chance to have more demand on the oil, and the price will be up. Furthermore, OPEC and other members outside the OPEC, they have already decided to reduce the production of the oil. And this will give them the chance to control the price. Rather than the price just go down, it will go up now. And I think that Russia and other countries has already, support this kind of agreement. So therefore, if the oil price go up, then more projects will come in the Gulf, and I think that the economy will improve a lot. We anticipate that by end of this year that the growth in the economy of the Gulf countries will take an average of about 4%.
4%.
Yes.
It's not bad in these conditions.
Yes.
So we are seeing great efforts of reform and revitalization. Let's take Saudi Arabia, for example.
Yes.
They have a vision of 2030. So maybe you can elaborate on that subject. So they are trying to reform their economies as well.
Yes. Well, I have an interview with another international channel concerning the policy and also the plan of Saudi Arabia, which is 2030. And I say that this is a very good idea. It is the first country the size of, because Bahrain started also before them, but Bahrain economy compared to Saudi is small. Saudi Arabia, they have started, and I think that this is a very good kind of move as a Saudi Arabia, and also it will give a boost for the economy for the future. Furthermore, this is also an important issue whereby new generation, new people who is coming in, they understand what is the country is going in the coming 15 years. And furthermore, I say that, and I stated, if they succeed only to achieve 50%, not 100%, just 50% out of the plans, I think that they did a great job.
I see. So let's talk a bit about global economies.
Yes.
I was just listening to Mr. Draghi minutes before. He was talking about green shoots because the European economy is in a recovery mode, and United States also seems to be growing like 2%, and the world seems to be coming out of the crisis, if I am correct. So how do you see the global economy?
Well, I say that it will take them a long time. It is not because of spending more money or having the companies, to find jobs for the people. No. You have to have stabilities in the economy, and the stability cannot come without a good regulation, flexible laws. What we are now facing in Europe and in America is there are too much of regulation, too much of compliance, which complicate the whole thing, and sometimes businessmen, entrepreneur people, they say why we should get involved in that. Let us, go and just place money in deposits and in money markets. So therefore, it needs a kind of new thinking. And I think this is what the new president at the United States is talking about. is let us review all the regulation which has been issued from 2008 till now, because economy will not grow without the banking sector in good health. If the banking sector is in a good health, they will start lending. If they start lending, the economy will start to come out from all these headache which we have. So therefore, I believe that there is a lot of regulation which stop the economy of growing. And I think that the European countries, they will have few more years to come to overcome all these things.
I see the subject you just raised now is, I think, very important. So you just mentioned about the regulations. It's namely Dodd-Frank in the U.S.
Yes.
Or Basel or many other. So Mr. Trump is also advising people and other congressmen, to repeal Dodd-Frank. So maybe you can say something about the regulations in the banks, because we know, as far as we know, that crisis was in a way dealt with the banks by the banks. So if we are removing all those regulations, does it mean that we learn nothing from the crisis, or is it the way that it should be after this?
Okay, let me tell you what's happened from 2008. By the way, the crisis I anticipated in 2007 during a conference, and I delivered a speech at it was in Paris, and it was chaired by the Minister of Finance at that time, which is right now, she is the IMF head, Madame Lagarde. And I mentioned that because of the growth, she told me, are you anticipating a crisis? I say, yes. She say, on what ground? I say, because the growth in lending has already broken all the normal ratios. Income of the financial institution there is a doubt about it. 3, there is a lot of products, regulation has not put their hand over it. And in 2008, we just have the crisis. I think that all the regulation which has been issued at that time, it was a reaction. Well, because of this, we done this. And if you take the problem we have it in 2008, it came from 2 products. In the United States, it came through the mortgage loans. Okay, it was overlend for this. And in the Europe, it was with the derivatives, swaps and options and interest rate swaps and all these kind of derivatives, which create problem for the banking sector. But the banking sector has not faced problem from their own products, which is the lending. Lending was very small compared to the rest of the losses they have. What happened also, we make mistakes, and we should admit it. In the 2010, 2011, when the Basel came up and Basel came with the new regulations, they forced the banks to take a big hit of losses. These losses, what's happened is, it hit their equities as financial institutions, because it is a losses. It went to the profit and loss account, and then it hit the equity. Equity went down. Central banks wake up and say, no, you have to increase your capital to improve your capital adequacies. Well, the stock market does not support any new capitals, so therefore banks were in deep trouble. That's why the government most of the government, the European government, they step in and they support their financial sectors. I believe that too many regulations will not allow to control losses or to control wrong mistakes or to control mistakes. No. We have to have flexible regulations, however, a strong follow-up from the regulators. So I think that will give flexibility to the financial institution to focus on business rather than focusing on regulations. And as a matter of fact, sometimes we sit with the central banks themselves as a governors, and they say that, we believe that we put a lot of pressure on the financial institutions. They themselves, the governors. But, because it is a law, they have to implement it.
I see. So from the point of Islamic banking and participation banking, so I'd like to ask you that, as far as I can see, Islamic banking has just come clean of the crisis. So can we say the banks benefit from that crisis because Islamic banking caused no problems? So could you sell this to people?
No, I think that I have to be specific in this. Islamic banking has not done two things which the traditional banks, they done it, and they have not done it because of the Sharia issue. One, we don't sell debts. In America, for example, most of these crises, they have it because people, they start selling debts. Okay? When you sell debts, you don't pass any benefits to the economy. A bank A in America sold his portfolio of mortgage loan to a bank B. Okay, what is the benefit for the economy? Nothing. Maybe that bank wants to get out from that sector, and this bank wants to expand in these sectors. So therefore, the economy has not been benefiting from selling. And that's why Islam does not allow to sell debts, because it does not pass anything to the economy, number one. Two, Islam prohibits us in selling something you don't own it, which is the derivatives, the swaps and the interest rate swaps and options and everything. You are selling products which you don't own it. You are selling it on the screen. Okay? This creates also a lot of hassles, inflate income, inflate the balance sheets, and complicate the issues for the banking. This is the whole thing why the Islamic banking has not been involved, because from the Sharia point of view, and which work in our favor. Two, the Islamic banking are doing things which is to the real economy. I don't give you a loan, no. I have to give you a financing for something I believe that you will benefit, I will benefit. For that's why I buy the car, I own it, I sell it to you. In the traditional banks, I'm giving you the loan, whether you buy that transaction or you don't buy it, I don't know about you, because I don't follow the transaction. In the Islamic banking, no, we follow the financing till the end. And if you decide not to take the car, it will be in my position. Then I have to get rid of the car, but that is my risk.
So that was actually my question. So
yes.
I asked the conventional banks cause the problem, not the Islamic banks. So
yes.
Could you tell the story to people, to investors, that we're more reliable than conventional banks, we have to increase our share, believe in us? Could you tell this story to investors?
I think that, first of all, I'm an international banker, and I've been in both Islamic and non-Islamic in the old days. Now I'm purely focusing on the Islamic banks. And I cannot ignore what the traditional banks they did in the past 200 or 300 years. But the Islamic bank has also their own methodologies, their own philosophy, their own ways of coming and producing to the economy. We are not that fast-growing economy. That means we put in our budget our income. And our income is number one. Along with number one, it is also our philosophy. Traditional banks, no, they put profit as number one, and there is a gap, and then their philosophy. We put our philosophy along with the income. I cannot do anything which break our principle of the Sharia. I have to be involved in the economy. I have to be involved in the real economy, not just on the shadow economy, no, real economy.
I see. So another question about the latest trends in finance, which is the fintech and digitalization. Is that changing the way you do business?
Oh yes, especially the digitalization. I mean, it has a lot of things to add on the banking sectors. And I tell you that, we are now thinking or rethinking about our branches. We are Albaraka Group. We have about over 700 branches in 15 countries. Alone in Turkey, we have about 220 branches. Alone in Istanbul, we have 74 branches. I want to say that we have to look to these branches, and we have to spend a lot in digital things. Maybe in the future, maybe we don't need 500 branches, we need maybe 300 branches. Maybe we need many branches, not the big branches. And as I'd like to tell you that we have a strategic meeting just a month ago in Albaraka Türk, thinking for Albaraka where we are going to be 2031, after 15 years from now, where we are going to be. And really the management of the bank spend a lot of time in bringing our ideas and see, can we think about the bank within 15 years? Yes, we can think. We were thinking to have close to 700 branches. Right now, as I said, that we have 220. By 2020, according to the old plan we have, we should be 300, which is not that any big numbers. You're talking about 80 branches new to be open. But after that, we have to think with the new technology has been involved in our systems.
I see. So for the Turkish part, let's
Yes.
assume that we're in Turkey now. So Turkish economy seems to be coming out of, that not recession but negative growth
Yes.
environment. So positive growth has just come back. How do you see Turkish economy compared to other emerging markets?
Well, I did mention that, last time when I met you. I believe, I'm a great believer in Turkey as a country. The president was in Bahrain, His Excellency, and I was there, and I saw the agreement which has been signed between the Bahrain governments and the Turkish governments. And there is a lot of similar agreement has been already signed with the rest of the Gulf countries. I think that the closer market for us in the Gulf is Turkey right now. And Turkey has a lot of potential. We should not forget that for the past now 10 years, with all the problems Europe and Americas are facing, alhamdulillah, Turkey was out from that. Turkey has faced that problem of the political issues, which is right now has been, mashallah, in the right directions. I don't believe that Turkey will have some difficulties. No, Turkey right now, mashallah, is coming back, and I think that you will see 2018 onward a lot of growth in the economy.
And what about Turkish banks, especially in participation banks?
Yes.
Because participation banks' share in all banking system is just 5%.
Yes.
Which is targeted to be three times, like 15%.
Yes.
In like the 5 or 6 years.
Yes.
So is that possible? How do you see it?
Well, it will not be. I will not say it is not possible, but it will be a big challenge for the Islamic banks, and I'll tell you why. I cannot compare myself as an Islamic bank, which I opened in 1985. And I think that the other banks also more or less, they opened it during the same period. And within a very short period, talk about close to 30 years, you cannot have this institution competing with the market, with the traditional banks which they have been in existing for the past, for example, over 100 years. And I cannot compare myself with, for example, TC Ziraat. But I took 5%. We should not forget that the cake of the economy is growing. That means I take 5% out of 100 million. The economy has grown by, say, another 50. The 5%, when I take it, and for the next year, if I compare it to 150, that means I have increased more. But because the cake has been also expanded. So therefore, I think that we can get close to 10%. But over that, I think it will be a little bit difficult.
Okay, so let's continue with the last question, which is about Albaraka Türk. So,
yes.
Any special plans for Turkey? So I see your confidence in Turkey as well. Maybe
yes.
You can talk about numbers maybe, or staff projections, or growth targets in Turkey. So where is Albaraka Türk is headed in Turkey?
No, Albaraka, mashallah, it has among the Islamic and non-Islamic traditional banks in Turkey. I'll give you the result of last year at least. The result of last year, still Albaraka was among the best banks, whether Islamic or non-Islamic, in return on assets, return on equities, good assets, i.e. that means clean assets, and a very good growth in deposits. By the way, growth in deposit last year in the traditional banks, in the big banks, was very small. Yeah. We beat them in that kind of growth. This is number one. Number two, as I did mention to you, by 2020 we'll have the 300 branches open for Turkey, which will add more staff. We will get close to about 4,000 staff by that time. Furthermore, we have already put the new products right now, the telephones system, the e-banking, everything has been now offloaded in our system. We are also promoting new ideas, which is the Musharaka project, which also has contributed a lot. I think that for the past 5 years, we did build about 14,000 units. Total project, I think, exceed $9 billion. This is just my memories tell me that this figure, maybe it is more, but I can say that I'm assured of $9 billion. Maybe it could be more, maybe 11, but I can tell you that we have involved in project Musharaka close to $9 billion US dollars. For this to give you, the confidence.
So far to date. Yeah.
Today. And we are continuing for that. There is something which is not in the Turkish banks. We are better than them. We are located in 15 countries, same Albaraka. And most of the Albaraka's countries which we are located have a very good relationship with Turkey. For the trade between Turkey and these countries will come through Albaraka Türk, because we can encourage exporters to come to us to enable them to export to the Arab countries. And there is something which is about the Islamic, maybe I have forget to mention to you, that by July 2017, we will have our new subsidiary, Albaraka, in Morocco. Morocco has just recently approved the law for the participation bank. And thank God to Turkey, because we copied most of the law which is implemented there from the Turkish experience. And they also translate the word participation to Bank al-Musharaka, the same wording. So this is something which is very good for us as Albaraka. We are also, as Albaraka, we are now going to expand through Indonesia, China, and India. That is from the Asian side. And west of Africa, this is our target markets for the future.
I see. Adnan Ahmed Yousif, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very
Hope to
much.
see you again.
Thank you.